Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots, you know, the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit from current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof of your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan or plan to save you money, I personally work with you. If you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by. Hey, we're celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. You know, here's, wait a second. I think this is a family show, public information, public radio, all over the internet. So thankfully, Josh has more sense than I do. So we did not do anything to commemorate that today is National Shower with a Friend Day. Not going to talk about that. Now, you know, and you know something is ironic because Josh is out there in Vegas. And I would think, you know what they say, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But we're not going to talk about that one. I will talk about the fact that today is National Chocolate Fondue Day. I like fondue. Look at that. Strawberry dipped in that chocolate fondue. Can't go wrong there. Of course, almost anything dipped in chocolate fondue. Strawberries. I've had marshmallows dipped in chocolate fondue. I've had bananas dipped in chocolate fondue. I've had graham crackers. Can't go wrong with chocolate fondue. Unless you are on a weight loss plan like I am. So, yes, I have been taking the shots. Now, I did notice that just yesterday, Hims came out with a compound of Wegovy, the weight loss pill. Now, I'm going to share with you because I've started, you know, for decades, for the first 5 decades of my life, I couldn't even spell science. You know, I didn't, you know, when I went to college, you had to have a science class. I don't even know if you still have to have science classes in college, but I had to have a science class, and I talked to them in the School of Business over there at Chapman College. And I talked to them, and I said, you know, I'm just not a science person. They said, well, we've got a Mickey Mouse science. And I said, Disney all the way. Yeah, I'll take Mickey anytime. I think I did geology of national parks, something I have never, ever used for the rest of my life. But now that I've started getting into these weight loss shots and studying them, you know, GLP, that P in there is peptides. So I've started studying peptides. So yes, I do enjoy the shots. I've learned about them. I noticed that when you look at the studies for the weight loss pill, it's got the lowest benefits in their trials of any of the different options. Wegovy starts out as being one of the, what they call semaglutides. That's the first generation of weight loss products. Had the lowest of the benefits. Now, the pill means it's got to go through your liver before it gets to doing anything. The injections bypass the liver. As I understand it, I am not a doctor. I don't give medical advice. Second generation was the Mounjaro and Zepbound, also known as Tirzepatide. Those are better. The newest one that's going to be coming out, it's in the third stage of trials, Retatrutide. So that'll be generation 3. You want to see some of the information that we've published on this. rsrlinks.com/aminopeps. rsrlinks.com/aminopeps. Throw a curveball there at Josh. rsrlinks.com/aminopeps. So we've done, it actually has an interview that we did on Ron Siegel Radio some time ago with one of the nation's leading educators on peptides. So kind of described what they are, how they work, all that kind of good stuff. Far smarter than I am. But rsrlinks.com/aminopeps. No space in there. And Josh, if you're going to put that on the screen, would you test it just to make sure? I think it's a plural. But rsrlinks.com/aminopeps. Let's move along and see what's going on in the markets right now. We've got the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 380 points. NASDAQ is down 207. The S&P 500 is down 54. Oil down $1.63 a barrel. It's going to be kind of interesting watching what's going on with oil, just because you didn't see this in the news. They didn't talk hardly anywhere about this. If you're getting paid news services, you are seeing this. But President Trump made a deal with India. And the deal is not going to be exciting to Russia, China, and others. President made a deal that, and again, it's all got to do with tariffs. The 1974 Tariff Act, or Trade Act, gives the president the authority to use tariffs for the benefit of the United States. So what did the president do with India? Well, he made a deal that India would wean off of Russian oil. Now, if you understand what that means, well, if India is weaning off of Russia oil, how is Russia paying for the war against Ukraine? Well, it's their oil industry. Who's their biggest, one of their biggest purchasers? Yes, India. If India is going to wean off and get their oil from the U.S. and Venezuela, then that's going to be good for world peace. Now, do you think you're going to hear that on the mainstream media? No, you don't hear that kind of stuff on the mainstream media. They don't want to tell you anything that the president is doing well. So that's just, as I would say all the time.
You know better than that.
Yeah, they won't tell you that kind of stuff. So we do tell you on Ron Siegel Radio. Now, why is the bond market doing better? Well, we're going to talk about that in the Mortgage Minute when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Top 3 reasons to buy a home before spring. What most people don't know about the housing market right now. USVA disability is income, and your trust is worthless unless you do this one thing most people forget. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel numeral 1 on YouTube. Hey, give us some love on all of those social channels. Tell us you're watching. Tell us where you're watching from. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, any of those good things. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's...
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message. And I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 1990 and every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you need to put in your mortgage calculator to determine your principal and interest payment. And if you don't have a mortgage calculator, we've got a suite of calculators available for you. rsrlinks.com/calculators. rsrlinks.com/calculators. And yes, there is a mortgage calculator in there. It'll tell you what your payment will be. There's also a rent versus own calculator comparing that investment property to other investments. There's a calculator for almost anything you can think of. rsrlinks.com/calculators. So what did rates do yesterday? Most of them were up. Conventional 30-year fixed, 6.114 up. Jumbo 30-year fixed, 6.389 up. FHA 30-year fixed, 5.935 down. VA 30-year fixed, 5.736 up. USDA 30-year fixed, 5.984 up. So it looks like 4 out of 5 of those were up. Why? Well, let's look at what's going on today. And if you want our thoughts about the market today, join the community, rsrlinks.com/HBOD. rsrlinks.com/HBOD. And we put our market thoughts in there each and every business day morning as early as the data allows. So now let's take a look and see. We've got the S&P 500 is now down 61 points, getting a little worse as we talk. 10-year Treasury, that's down 6.5 basis points to 4.213. Now, remember, we're generally looking at about 180 basis points to that 10-year Treasury. What does that mean? So if you can see a 4.21 on the 10-year Treasury and you add 1.8 to it, 180 basis points is at 1.8%. That means a 30-year fixed rate loan right now, before you add the loan level price adjustments, is right around 6%. We're seeing the mortgage bond is down 20 basis points. When that bond goes down, interest rates go, the bond is up right now. So interest rates are going down. The 30-year mortgage bond is up 20 basis points, which means that you can look at that and say that mortgage rates are going down. And we're looking at the 5.0 coupon. You're generally going to add on that coupon, the 5.0, you're going to add 75 basis points to 125 basis points. Again, that'll give you a rough idea of where 30-year interest rates are. Now, why is this happening? All that stuff, you can find that on the super secret website, google.com. But what's driving it, that doesn't come from the super secret website unless you really know exactly what to ask for. So what's helping the bond market today is several weak labor reports and comments from incoming Fed Chair Kevin Warsh, who said that he wants to cut rates because he thinks an AI boom will enhance productivity, and that will give the Fed room to cut without stoking inflation. The JOLTS report today, job opening and labor turnover report, that came out this morning, and that job opening and labor turnover report showed job openings in December totaled 6.5 million, much lower than the 7.2 million estimated and the lowest level since 2020. Additionally, the previous reading from November was revised lower from 7.15 million to 6.93 million. The hiring rate rose slightly from 3.2% to 3.3%, just off the lowest level since 2013 when removing COVID, and shows a slowdown in the hiring market. Quits rate remained at 2%, near some of the lowest levels since 2014 when removing COVID. The Challenger job cut report showed that there were 108,435,000 cuts in jobs in January, which is triple the amount in December. While there are usually more cuts in January after the holidays, it was more than double the cuts in January of 2025 and the highest amount in that month since 2009. Hiring plans were extremely weak, with January showing the least amount for that month on record since they started tracking this metric 17 years ago. Revelio jobs report that Revelio Labs releases a private labor market report, which gained popularity during the government shutdown And yes, we're not going to see the government jobs report that tomorrow like we normally would. I think it's going to come out on Friday. Oh, I'm sorry, next Wednesday. It showed that there were 13,300 job losses in January, another sign of weakness in the labor market after ADP's week report showing 22,000 jobs gains. The loss was driven by public administration, leisure and hospitality, and retail trade. Education and health added 42,000 jobs and accounted for almost all the job growth. It's amazing to see how some of the media and at the Fed can say the labor market is stable or solid when the data is clearly showing an acceleration in the weakness. Many hang their hats on low jobless claims figures, but we saw a spike in the jobless figures this morning. Initial jobless claims, which measures individuals filing for unemployment benefits for the very first time, rose 22,000 to 231,000, which is a relatively higher number than we have seen of late. Continuing claims, or those that continue to receive benefits after their initial claim, rose 25,000 to 1.84 million. While this rose, it's still lower than the above 1.9 million numbers we were seeing not long ago. But that's due to people's benefits expiring and no longer being counted, not hiring, as evidenced by the labor reports. Bottom line, the Fed primarily cares about two things: inflation, they also call that stable pricing, and labor. Inflation is likely near the Fed's target when taking out tariffs and housing disinflation lag, while the labor market is showing clear weakness by almost every measure. The new Fed chair appears to be a lot more forward-looking and thinks inflation will come down. This sets us up for more rate cuts in the second half of the year. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. So let's do a Mortgage 101. Mortgage 101. That's being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/Sora. Go to Sora right there, rsrlinks.com/Sora. That's a 30-second checkup or a 30-second loan application. Gives you an idea what your credit score is. It doesn't give you FICO. It'll give you an idea of your blended household interest rates based on assumptions. We have to adjust them for real numbers, but they do come out fairly close, and it'll give you an idea why that 3% mortgage is killing you. Banning corporations from buying homes. Rates at 3-year lows in January. I spent most of last few months saying what? Let me break down what's actually happening in housing and what it means for your wallet. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Here's what you need to know. January is typically the slowest month in real estate. Most years, I'm picking up hobbies, questioning career choices. Not this year. We're seeing mortgage rates in the high 5s, low 6s. That's the lowest they've been in 3.5 years. Buyers are coming out. Refinances are happening. On government loans, rates are even better. What's driving this? The president ordered Fannie and Freddie to buy mortgage-backed securities. Let me make this simple. When you get a mortgage, that loan gets packaged and sold as a security. If there's a big buyer in the market, lenders don't need to charge you as much interest to attract other buyers. From 2020 to 2022, the Fed was buying truckloads of these securities. That's why rates were so low. After 2022, they stopped buying and started selling. No big buyers meant rates went up. Now we've got Fannie and Freddie stepping back in. It's not massive, but it helped drop rates about 1/8 to 1/4%. Can they keep doing this forever? No. But during the 2008 crisis, the Treasury bought mortgage-backed securities. Could happen again? We'll see. Here's the bigger news. The administration banned institutional investors from buying single-family homes. I did not have that on my bingo card for 2026. Let me be clear. Do we need corporations owning houses that families should live in? No. Parts of New Jersey have over 30% corporate ownership in certain areas. That's not good for regular home buyers like you and me. Now, they're not forcing corporations to sell what they already own. That would be unreasonable and probably illegal. They're just saying no more moving forward. Previous attempts at this kind of legislation were designed to fail. They included impossible requirements like forcing corporations to sell everything immediately. This approach is reasonable, which is why I think it'll actually stick. There is one carve out I'm watching. They're allowing build to rent communities where builders construct entire neighborhoods specifically to sell to corporations for rentals. I'm hoping that changes in areas where building permits are limited and inventory is tight. We don't want all the new construction going straight to corporations. Regular buyers should get first shot at single-family homes. What about mom and pop investors who own a few rental properties? That's not what they're targeting. But we don't know yet where they'll draw the line. Is it 10 houses, 20, 100? That detail matters. Here's my take. Whether you like this administration or not, when people in power focus on making housing more affordable for regular Americans, that's progress. We've got to make progress where we can get it. There's also talk about using 401k funds for down payments without the tax hit. Right now, people borrow from their 401k and pay it back with after-tax money. If they change the rules so you can use retirement funds for a down payment and only repay it when you sell the house or avoid the tax penalty entirely, that helps a lot of buyers who have retirement savings but not much cash. One more thing about inventory, you'll see national headlines saying there's more inventory. Drill down state by state and it's a different story. Most of the inventory increase is concentrated in about 5 states. I talked to a realtor in Maryland recently. A $500,000 house went for $70,000 over asking with no contingency. So yes, some areas have more homes available. Other areas are still in a drought. Fun fact, after all the NAR lawsuits and changes to how realtors get paid, guess what percentage of real estate agents left the industry in 2025? 3%. That's it. So what does this mean for you? Rates are good right now. If you've been thinking about buying or refinancing, this is a smart time to look at your options. Remember, strategy beats rate always. It's about your household blended interest rate and overall financial picture. Getting your financial house in order is the first step. Visit rsrlinks.com/keysteps to see where you stand and what makes sense for your situation. Then make sure before you even start shopping, get certified. Yes, it's way better than any other pre-approval on the market. rsrlinks.com/certified buyer. rsrlinks.com/certified buyer. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Mortgage 101 segment brought to you by rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, well, we're going to talk to you about several different items, if I can get my screen to work up. Top 3 reasons to buy a home before spring, using VA disability as income, and your trust is worthless unless you do this one thing most people forget, and it is why 80% of the trusts are just big old paperweights. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message. And I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Top 3 reasons to buy a home before spring. If you're planning to buy a home this year, you may be focused on the spring market and hoping that when spring does hit, you'll see mortgage rates drop a little more and more homes hit the market. But here's what most buyers don't realize. Being just a few weeks earlier could mean paying less, dealing with less stress, and feeling less rushed. Here are 3 reasons why accelerating your timeline over the next few weeks could actually be a better play. Number 1, holding out for lower rates may pay off. A lot of buyers are hoping mortgage rates will fall even further, but that's not the best strategy. Here's why. Experts are pretty aligned on this. Rates are expected to stay roughly where they are. Forecasts throughout the industry all point to the same thing. Rates are projected to be in the low 6% range this year. And if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 and FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a graph of mortgage rates. And it says expect mortgage rates to stay roughly the same. And it's got forecasts from Fannie Mae, Mortgage Bankers Association, and Wells Fargo. That's not a bad thing, especially if you consider how much rates have already come down over the past 12 months. They've dropped roughly a full percentage point. For many buyers, that means affordability has already improved more than they may realize. So why wait a few more weeks just for more buyers to jump in and act as your competition? You already have a window right now. As Chen Zhao, head of economic research at Renfin, says, quote, house hunters should know that this may be near the lowest mortgage rates fall for the foreseeable future, unquote. Number 2, spring means more competition, which is more stress. Speaking of competition, the spring market is popular for a reason, but with popularity comes pressure. With more buyers active at that time of year, you'll have to move faster once you find a home you like, and no one likes feeling rushed. But buy now and you have more time to browse. Fewer people are looking, so homes sit longer. You can see this play out in the data from Realtor.com. In winter months, it takes about an average of about 70 days for a home to sell. In spring, that drops to about 50 days. That's a 20-day swing, and that pace is going to be more stressful. And you can see that in the chart that we're showing you right now. Homes sell faster in the spring and slower in the winter, and that can be a worthwhile perk for buyers who want to get ahead before their decisions start to feel rushed. Number 3, prices tend to rise when competition heats up. Here's something most buyers forget to factor in. Prices usually respond to demand. So when demand is higher, prices are too. Bankrate explains it. Quote, spring and early summer are the busiest and most competitive time of year for the real estate market. Home prices tend to be steeper to reflect the increased demand. In fact, from the National Association of Realtors, or data from the National Association of Realtors, shows that in 2025, buyers who purchased in the beginning of the year saved roughly $30,000 to $35,000 compared to those who bought when prices peaked in the spring or early summer. And you can see that in the chart that we're showing you right now as well. Buying a home is generally less expensive in the winter months. And let's be honest, for a lot of buyers today, every little bit of savings helps. That's why buying just a few weeks earlier before prices ramp up will be better for you and your wallet. The bottom line, buying a few weeks before spring isn't about rushing. It's about choosing to be ahead of the curve and knowing you want more leverage, less stress, and meaningful savings. That's why you need to be certified. It is far more advanced than any other approval process on the market. rsrlinks.com/certified buyer. rsrlinks.com/certified buyer. And if you're ready and able to buy now, which you'll find out when you get certified and get the ball rolling, let's connect. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Thanks for listening to the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. So let's talk Mortgage 101. That's being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. Right now, veterans across America are getting denied for mortgages they should easily qualify for. And it's not because they don't have the income. It's because their lender does not understand the rules. I'm Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor. and a certified mortgage advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Today, we're talking about something that should be simple, but causes problems every single day: using VA disability income to qualify for a mortgage. Here's what's happening. Veterans with VA disability income are being told they need documents they don't have. They're being told their disability income doesn't count. They're being denied by underwriters who simply don't understand the guidelines, and it's completely wrong. So let me make this crystal clear. If a mortgage lender tells you they cannot use your VA disability to qualify you for a loan, they are wrong. Period. Full stop. Your VA disability income can be used on every single type of loan in America. VA loans, FHA loans, conventional loans, jumbo loans, all of them. The problem isn't the guidelines. The problem is lenders who don't know the guidelines. And that's why we came out with the second look advantage. rsrlinks.com/2ndlook. rsrlinks.com/2ndlook. That's the second look advantage. And if we can't help you improve either meeting your goals or in pricing, we're going to give you a $100 Amazon gift card. Pretty simple, right? No risk to you. Now, here's what you need to know about how this actually works. First, yes, VA disability is real income. Every lender can use it. Every lender should use it. Second, we actually gross it up. What does that mean? Since VA disability is not taxable, we get to treat it like it's worth more than the actual dollar amount. For every $100 of VA disability income, we treat it like $125 of regular income. That's a huge advantage. But here's what I see all the time. Lenders who don't gross up the VA disability income. They just use the flat amount, and that underqualifies the veteran. Third, the documentation is simple. All you need is your certificate of eligibility. That's it. Your COE shows your VA disability. You don't need proof of continuance. You don't need medical records. You don't need some special letter from the VA. Just your certificate of eligibility, which a lender that knows about VA loans knows that's the golden ticket. Now, if you just started receiving your VA benefits and it's not on your COE yet, then the award letter stating what you're receiving is enough. If you're in state like Florida or Texas, where being rated at a 100% waives property taxes, yes, we'll want something showing that 100% rating. But that continuance letter, some underwriters ask for, not required, not necessary. I got an email recently from another loan officer asking for help. His client, a veteran, was trying to get a jumbo loan. The underwriter was demanding proof of long-term continuance for the VA disability income. The underwriter was treating VA disability like regular disability income. They're not the same. VA disability has different rules, simpler rules. The loan officer knew something wasn't right and reached out. But think about all the veterans who don't have someone to call. They just get told no and think that's the end of it. rsrlinks.com/2ndlook. rsrlinks.com/2ndlook. Your VA disability is income regardless of what loan type you use. Your certificate of eligibility is enough to prove it. You don't need magic paperwork beyond that. And yes, since your VA disability isn't taxable, we gross it up, treating every $100 like $125. If you're being told otherwise, you're talking to the wrong lender. Bottom line, whether you're looking at a VA loan, FHA, conventional or jumbo, if you have VA disability income and need help navigating the process, we've got resources for you. Head over to rsrlinks.com/VA loan. rsrlinks.com/VA loan for our complete series of VA resources. Visit rsrlinks.com/certified buyer to get certified to buy your home using that VA loan benefit. And the first step, rsrlinks.com/key steps. rsrlinks.com/key steps to make sure your financial house is in order before you make your first move. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability and veteran mortgage advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to Mortgage 101, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. So make sure you get some of the extra resources that we're giving you all the time on Ron Siegel Radio. You got to get certified as a home buyer. I talked about that a bit during Mortgage 101. rsrlinks.com/certified buyer, where the latest, one of the last steps in the process. We stick with you for the rest of your life. But one of the last steps in the process is getting a code to go in your Apple Wallet or Google Wallet. It goes in there just like when you go and buy a concert ticket, a sporting event ticket, an airline ticket, or a credit card. So you can flash that pass, the certified buyer pass, whenever you go looking for a house. The agent that's holding that house open, or your agent, they can scan the QR code, and they'll know right away that you're a certified buyer, you're a serious buyer, you've been pre-approved, pre-underwritten, your income and credit is all qualified. That's all that you get as a certified buyer. rsrlinks.com/certified buyer, rsrlinks.com/certified buyer. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, your trust is worthless unless you do one thing most people forget. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio, or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. You've got a living trust. Your estate plan is done, right? Wrong. I see families make this mistake all the time, and it can cost their loved ones thousands of dollars and months in probate. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Here's what most people don't understand. Creating a living trust is only one half the job. You've got to fund it properly, or basically it's worthless. Let me tell you about a client I worked with recently. She set up her trust 10 years ago, did everything right, or so she thought. Then she refinanced her home 3 years ago. Guess what? That refinance put the house back in her personal name, not the trust. When she passed away last year, her family had to go through 6 months of probate court just for that one property. So what does this mean for you? Think of your living trust like a container. You can have the nicest container in the world, but if you don't put your assets inside it, the container doesn't help you. Your house, your bank accounts, your investment properties, they all need to be properly titled in the name of the trust. Here's where people trip up. Real estate is the big one. Every time you buy a new property or refinance, you need to make sure the title shows up in your trust as the owner, not you personally, your trust. Bank accounts are another problem area. You open a new checking account and you're busy. You forget to title it to the trust. Now that account goes through probate. Then there are beneficiary designations, your life insurance, your retirement accounts. Even some bank accounts have beneficiary forms. Those need to coordinate with your trust strategy. I've seen cases where someone names their trust as beneficiary when they should have named specific people, and other cases where they did the opposite. Both mistakes cost their families money. And here's something that surprises people. Some attorneys will tell you that a pour-over will solves these problems. It doesn't. A pour-over will still require probate. It just moves assets into your trust after you're gone through the court system. That's exactly what you're trying to avoid in the first place. What about business interests? If you own part of a company, rental properties, or investment partnership, those need proper planning too. Sometimes they go in the trust, sometimes they don't. It depends on your specific situation. The good news, these mistakes are fixable, but you've got to stay on top of it. Every time something changes in your financial life, new account, new property, refinance, new business, ask yourself, does my trust know about this? Is the title correct? I recommend reviewing your trust funding every 2 to 3 years minimum. And after every major financial change, definitely check it. If you want to make sure your financial house is in order and your estate plan actually works when your family needs it, visit rsrlinks.com/keysteps. That's where you can get started on organizing everything. And if you need help setting up a trust or fixing funding issues with an existing one, visit rsrlinks.com/estate. rsrlinks.com/estate. That's our attorney supervised trust creation partner who can help make sure everything is done the right way. Remember, strategy beats rate always, but even the best strategy falls apart if you don't execute it properly. Don't let funding mistakes ruin your entire estate planning. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by GetHomeselect.com, GetHomeselect.com. So we should chat about the Wealth Builder program. And it is the best loan on the market. And yes, I said it, I believe it, and I am right. That Wealth Builder program, you find out about it at GetHomeselect.com, GetHomeselect.com. So I was consulting with somebody just recently, and they had a mortgage balance of about $162,000. It was at 3.5%, and they had about $80,000 in other debts. Altogether, that brought their blended household interest rate to 5.71. Now, yes, we've got a calculator for the blended household interest rate. You just need to go to rsrlinks.com/calculators, and you can see it there. You can put all your stuff in there. Easy way, go to rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora, and we'll actually calculate all of it. It's not exact, but it'll be very close. And the reason it's not exact is we do take data from public record areas to figure out all the interest rates. We can adjust it if we know the exact rate, if you can provide us with that. But rsrlinks.com/Sora. So what did we find out from this exercise? Number one, the 3% loan was killing this person. So you go to rsrlinks.com/3PCT, rsrlinks.com/3PCT, and I'll show you exactly why the 3% loan is killing you. Then what you do is you look and you say, okay, what is our total household blended interest rate? And how can we use the Home Select product? Well, the Home Select product for anybody, it's going to consolidate all of your finances. If you got the equity and income to support it, if you qualify, what it's going to end up doing is you're going to consolidate all of that, all your liabilities into one. That's why we call it the all-in-one program. So why does it build wealth? Well, you get everything paid off in 6 to 10 years. And almost every one of them, when I run the simulator, they show that your effective interest rate under 2%, under 2%. But then we go and let's talk about strategy, because you know I say strategy beats rate always, and I'm right. Strategy beats rate always. Go back to the lady, $162,000 in credit card debt, 3.375 was her interest rate. Combine all of her other debts, blended household interest rate, 5.71. When we suggested doing a complete cash out refi, like we talk about in the two-step, rsrlinks.com/two-step, doing that cash out refi, we showed her how we were going to save, I believe it was $1,300 a month. There was a couple of options. It might have been $1,300, might have been $1,900 a month. in cash flow because she was paying on that $80,000 in debt, autos, personal loan, credit cards. She was paying a boatload of money in those debts. Now, when we put them all into a new cash out refi, like we talk about in the two-step, then what happens is we showed her by taking the same payments she was making now, including getting rid of the 3.375% interest rate loan that was killing her, and it was going to have, I think, 28 years left to pay on it. She'd have everything, including her mortgage, paid off in 9.2 years. She said, Ron, I want that 3.5% mortgage, or 3.375. I like that mortgage. I want to keep it. So as I always do, my comment to her was, when you went out to dinner last night, did they ask you for your mortgage rate or did they ask you for money to pay for that dinner? Oh, they ask for money. They don't care about my mortgage rate. I said, good. So why do you? Because you're in your golden years. She was already retired. And I said, you'll be paid off with everything in 9.2 years and not paying anything extra than you're paying today. Don't want it. Okay. Well, we can just consolidate all that debt into a new HELOC for you if you would like. It's going to cost you more. It's going to take you a little over 12 years to have everything paid off. Now, here's the catch, and it's part of what we talk about as a certified liability advisor. The catch on this is that we get a lot of people that don't have discipline, because we've showed people for decades how to pay everything off and then how to pay your credit card bills the right way and how to keep them active the right way. rsrccpayment.com, rsrccpayment.com. We show them how to do all this stuff the right way. Now, when they do these things the right way, well, their FICO scores go up. They keep their credit cards active, and they don't buy anything that they can't pay for right now. Even though they put it on the credit card to get the points or keep the card active, they send the money into the credit card right away, so they're not building up debt. So now they're going to have a better FICO score down the road. Now, why do I say discipline? Because for decades, we'd help people get out of debt. And what do? They see that their credit card has availability. And then they look and they say, well, the big game is this weekend. The big game is this weekend. I want a new TV. So they start going back and racking up the credit card debt right away. You can't have a new big screen TV without getting the sound system to go with it. Right? So now they've got all kinds of debt there and they've got problems. So then we get where we can't do the second part of the two-step because they've racked up all the debt again. So just think about these things. If you want guidance on it, well, go over to rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. Let's get started. Let's take a look. Let's see how we can help you. And then you can send us an email, smoke signal, DM, any of the above, and you can reach out to us and we'll see how we can help you. And as always, I ask, click that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990 or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.